For August the 19th, 2022, we talk about Mortuary Assistant, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Under Falling Skies, and much, much more. Welcome to Level 425. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
And I'm Jala Prendez.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Sorry about the unannounced week off last week. Situations conspired and made it so we couldn't be here. And I know at least two of us are just barely here now.
Yeah. I'm podcasting with ghosts right now.
Not quite yet, okay? Not quite yet.
There, I'm not dead. There have been points over the past couple of days where I would, wonder, hey, how does that look? No, I have a pinched nerve, and I'm a big baby about it. So,
hey, I have spinal stenosis, and when that acute onset occurred, I can tell you that it is no picnic from my own personal experience. So, if anybody is giving you grief about your pain that they do not feel, fuck them.
Nobody's giving me grief. I'm making
you're
up
giving
people
yourself,
in my head.
You're giving yourself grief.
Yes.
Get this straw man off my back.
Fuck you, Kole.
But yeah,
anyway.
No, just I in the green room before we recorded, I made the comparison to when I was real young, I had constant ear infections, and just thinking about that, or thinking about like the baby that's crying on the plane because it's teething. Like there are at least 6 different ways that I cannot explain to this thing that is crying to actually like make it make sense, to make it stop. And that's kind of what some of that pain is, made worse by not sleeping. I came to the Slack an hour early, saying, "All right, guys, I'll be in the room ready to go," because apparently that's just what's happening. So please roll with me.
Hey,
that means you got an hour's nap, right?
No, I worked. I played Elden Ring because we're recording about that in a couple days. The next segments. I don't usually go first. Jala, you'll remember last week you said, "Hey, you're sick. It's not COVID." How'd that work out?
Oh, I'd said that I don't know if it is COVID or not. I said I was currently not testing positive for COVID. So I started feeling shitty on Monday. And then I didn't test positive for COVID until Thursday. I tested every day. And then when I was testing positive for COVID, it was like real dark line. Like you have so much crud in your system. So,
awful. And
speaking about ear infections, as a kid, I was also one of those folks because I have bad allergies, and I also had an ear infection, COVID, sinus infection, allergies, and then I got bronchitis as a result of take your pick. So
right.
So I have had every malady that I can stack on top of it, and meanwhile, like my parents, who I was really worried about, breeze through it. I mean, like they have some congestion, but they have not been having any kind of a problem. But me, honest to God, if I didn't have the vaccine, I probably would have been one of those hospitalized folks.
Yeah.
As a result of this, because, it was that bad. And not only that, but we are now on week 3 of me being sick. Wow. And I still persist in having obvious congestion that you can hear and coughing attacks and stuff like that. So at the very least, the ear infection is gone. The fever and chills and stuff is gone. I get the fatigue and then like random feels like I have a fishbowl on my head, kind of like brain fog where it's like looking through like very weird distorted space towards anything else. So that's where I'm at doing, mixed bag with that kind of stuff. But my mom allegedly will be coming home sometime, hopefully on Friday.
That's good.
So when this show drops, my mom will maybe be home from her month and a half of being hospitalized in the nursing facility. So
that's too much time.
That is a lot of time. And it's been a real summer, like in a real year. You guys already knew it was not a great year for me to begin with. So
yeah,
it's just been chugging along. How are you doing, though, Dennis?
Yeah.
Please save us.
No, I have complete empathy for you guys because I have this wicked hangnail right now that's just I'm suffering. No, I'm doing pretty good on the whole. I have not one but two options for bringing video games into our non-video game segment. I have a movie that I watched and a board game that I played. But I want to talk about the board game at length, so I'm going to talk about the movie. Uncharted is out on streaming services now.
It is.
Yeah, and I had intended to go see it in theaters because, Uncharted is my jam. And just, a combination of like COVID gun shyness and then just not really caring enough got in the way.
Okay.
But, plop it in front of me when I'm already on my couch and looking for something to watch, and I'll say yes. And I don't get the hate that the movie got. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Good.
Huh. And they, there is definitely a choice off the top that Sully and Nathan Drake are not going to be, we're not going to try to get people to look like them, and they're going to have similar personalities, but it's very much a movie-fied version of them.
Okay.
But if you can get past that choice, like it is a great job taking Uncharted into the movie sphere, and it should be, because Uncharted itself is an ode to all of those Indiana Jones, etc. action movies out there.
Right.
The set pieces are excellent. It starts with the cargo nets going out the back of a cargo plane. Mm-hmm. That's straight from the games, and they do a great job with that. And then the final set piece is two ancient boats that are being airlifted out of a cave on helicopters.
Okay.
And a fight that goes across those. And none of that spoilers. It's all, it's all in the previews and stuff. But that was actually one of the best action sequences that I can remember from movies for a long time. Like there were moments that made me exclaim out loud, which is one thing if you're in a theater and like there's a whole crowd doing it.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like it has to be really, really well done for me to be like, whoa,
in your own home.
In the basement. But yeah, like the action scenes were there. There's great, like, track the mystery, figure out the ancient puzzles kind of stuff in the middle of the movie. And while Nathan Drake and Sully are, they definitely were like, all right, we're just, we're not going to try to force that. And they kind of went their own direction with it. Mm-hmm. The essence of those characters is still there.
Okay.
And I thought it fit, it worked. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I went in with low expectations because everyone panned this movie. And just, it kind of flopped and people weren't happy with it. And I don't understand why. Maybe people just hate Mark Wahlberg. And I think there's reasons out there too.
Yeah.
But overall the movie was great.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Which does the overall plot take after a particular game, or is it just kind of a investigation?
No, it is. It's an origin story of sorts. So Uncharted 3 tells kind of like, Nathan Drake came from an orphanage, and then Uncharted Among Thieves is like, Nathan Drake had a brother, and so it kind of wraps those two together.
Okay.
And then really the movie focuses on Nathan meeting Sully and them doing their first job together.
Okay.
His brother thing is used as a hook to get him introduced to Sully, and then completely dropped until a post-credits scene. And there is, it might be like the final scene of the movie, and there's a post-credit scene, and there is so much foreshadowing of the next movie in this movie that I'm really curious. Like it bombed so bad, I don't know if they're scrapping plans for the next, but they also they could not have screamed "there will be a sequel" any louder in the final minutes of the movie.
They did that at the end of the Super Mario Brothers movie too.
I'm still holding out for the sequel. But yeah, Uncharted, go in with an open mind. You're going to love it. What's really funny is I think it's Chloe is one of the characters from the third game. is in this, and she is cast like very lockstep with her in-game character.
Okay.
So the one, if I had any complaint, it's a little jarring that the two main characters they played fast and loose with, but the supporting cast that they surround them with is like carbon copies of people from the game.
That's weird. You like it to be kind of even. It's a little bit like on The Walking Dead when you have just like, oh yeah, this is a white guy with dark hair. This is a white guy with blonde hair. And then they bring somebody in and it's like, oh, this is a person who's cosplaying as that character.
Yep.
Yeah.
But overall great.
Nice.
So that's me.
Cool. Well, you went and talked about games in the opening, so we might as well go in and might as well talk about games like we're gonna do with the regular kind of show. What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
the grind?
The grind, where we talk about the games we've been playing over the past period of time or so. I have a new one that I want to talk about, but it's also going to be relatively short.
Okay.
I did manage to stream over this past weekend, at least one day, before it got to be too much. The pervading numbness and pain and stuff like that. But I did stream an interesting new indie horror game called what is it? The Mortician's Assistant? Oh no. Mortuary Assistant.
Mortuary Assistant, I thought.
Yes. Mortuary Assistant.
Not a Mortician's Tale.
No, this is different. Although I'm interested in playing that. This is a first-person horror game. Takes place in obviously a mortuary, and you are on your first night at this establishment, embalming some bodies overnight because your boss runs this place and he gives you a call, panicked, saying, oh, hey, it's happening again. It happens periodically. Demons try and get in the bodies and we have to figure out which one to burn with the ritual stuff on it.
You'd think you'd have mentioned that in the interview.
Yeah, just say like, all right, so how comfortable are you? Rank these movies. Wizard of Oz, Heat, The Exorcist. just go ahead. Any order you want to. It's first person, and you do your tutorial, which makes this seem for all the world like it's going to be another one of those. It's going to be a Kole Ross special. It's going to be a janky profession simulator, which kind of it is. You have a clipboard that has the entire process for embalming these bodies. You've got to take an inventory of any identifying marks on the bad boy. You got to hook up the embalming machine and mix up the right the right embalming fluid to replace all the fluids inside. Sew everything up. Things like that. You even finish by moisturizing the face so it doesn't get all gross.
Mm-hmm. I watched that. That was something.
It's real ooey gooey.
Yeah.
Just like you've got this little like little swab kind of deal. But you do one of those just as kind of like the, hey, here's your trial. I'll let you know if I'm thinking of hiring you. And then when you're hired, it's called in at midnight saying, hey, the demons are about to come back. And that adds on a whole bunch of new, a couple of new wrinkles, such as needing to learn the true name of the demon that is looking to come in by walking around with these like little strips that catch on fire when you are near a place of high spiritual activity. And you also have to keep an eye out for signs on the bodies, such as like mysterious wounds that weren't there when you were doing the embalming process, looking for any kind of like telltale movement, toe twitches and things like that, to figure out which of the bodies the demon is trying to get into so it can hop to you, right? And so you have to identify which body is, currently the vessel, and figure out its name, all while embalming the other bodies. At least when I did this, there were 3 of them that I had to do, and it is very locked to the checklist. So it's kind of a game that's about this neat trick that I've seen done in a couple of other indie horror games, specifically like in the Haunted PS1 demo disc or in the Dread X collections, where the job is, what the game is trying to get you to do is pay attention to a very methodical act that you need to get done. One of these that was really good, I forget what collection it was in, but it was like you were trying to interpret glyphs in this like alchemical book, and you're doing like little like missed translation puzzle kind of deals, but you always have to be keeping a lookout, because the monster that's in this library could be sneaking up on you, right? So you have to look up and make sure that that you are not caught unawares by this thing approaching you. And that's a little bit the gimmick behind Five Nights at Freddy's too. This is a little bit less subtle than some of those. You see outright like hallucinations. The bodies will like grip and convulse and speak to you. You'll be warped to like different places, like where some of these bodies died and things like that. Yeah.
So it's not all just in the lab.
It's not all just in the lab. There are small little warpaways that you do.
Dude, what I'm watching like the preview trailers for this with the sound off, and it is getting to me. Like,
it's pretty
a lonely place doing like a task by yourself, like has a special brand of scary.
And I mean,
and oh my god, the thing that got me, and I'd be curious to hear how often something like this happens, is you have like the checklist on your clipboard that you're kind of referencing as you go through everything, and you hold it up at one point and something is written on it. That got me.
Yeah, they don't spare an awful lot of opportunities for an interface screw like that. In addition to stuff just kind of appearing in the room, at the end of hallways and stuff like that. They make a lot of use of limited space.
Mm-hmm. I only popped in for a little bit of your stream, and it was during the part where you were doing the embalming and stuff, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, all right, I'm out. And then I missed all the good stuff, it sounds like.
Yeah. You probably came in during one of the earlier ones where I was still getting a hang of the rhythm for it. You have to repeat it 2 or 3 times to really get a hang of the order in which things need to happen. But yeah, that's kind of the fake out or the slow part of the build up to when it starts putting freaky stuff in front of you.
How much real danger are you in these jump scares, or is it like a fear thing where like when there's ghosts around, you're meant to feel scared, but your character in the game is actually at its safest point?
So there's no, as far as I can tell, there is no health system. Like nothing can like straight up come up and get you and you die. There is a kind of creeping. There's a time limit. Basically, there's a creeping madness, a creeping possession or corruption that comes in, and you can check this by going into your menu, and it actually you don't see the meter or anything. What you do is you have to click on this post-it pad, and the character will like start doodling, and just like, okay, just scribble and see what comes through. And as you end up being more possessed, it starts turning into like demonic summoning glyph kind of things.
Oh no!
If you're drawing. Now, I don't know if that is strictly time or if that is kind of pulling a little bit of a Silent Hill 4 thing, where the closer you are to the haunting stuff, the more the influence is coming over you. I'm 100% unsure about that.
But it's also got the effect of like, I can see it's getting worse, but I don't know where the end point of that worse is.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh, stressful.
Yeah. And all of this is on top of the task that they have you doing for embalming the bodies. They're pretty grisly on their own. If this was just Mortuary Assistant simulator, you would still be taking the little needle gun and wiring people's jaws shut. Yeah, unpleasant. Putting the caps over the eyes, under the eyelids, things like that. But they throw in the demonic possession stuff too. On stream, just because one run through took me about 2 hours, I cut it off and I didn't pursue any other endings, just because it would have taken too much. I got a bad ending on mine. I burned the wrong body, and it was still an interesting ending to get. Like, failure was it was a cool little scene in the morning when we figured it out. But I don't know. I may go back and try and play around because there seem to be like escape room kind of vibes for some of this. There are some keys that were not used in my playthrough, and there were some just other ways that this possibly could have gone. But it's neat.
Very cool.
Yeah. Any questions about the Mortuary Assistant?
How final is this? Is it still hardcore under development, or
No, it's not early access. This is a shipped finished product.
very cool? Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, Jala. Let's move to you.
Okay, so I have been playing, even though I've been very sick with COVID, I've been playing a lot more like input required, higher input needs type games since being laid up. So I played some more Sonic Mania, and that continues to be really fun. I looked a little bit into the development, and I found out it was led by a guy who was a prominent member of the Sonic fan game community and had previously been contracted by Sega to develop remastered ports of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2, and Sonic CD for mobile. And this game was called Sonic Mania because of the team's maniacal fandom and because nobody else came up with a better title. So they were just like, okay, that's what we're going with now. And the animated opening and ending sequences were done by a team that was led by Tyson Hesse, which is one of the artists of the Sonic comics by Archie Comics. And several team members were also fan programmers who worked on fan games and ROM hacks. So it was actually developed in that Christian Whitehead's own engine, Retro Engine, which was tailored for creating 2D games. So to me, like, the thing about this game that stands out is just the devs' love of the series. That maniacal fandom that was talked about really shows because of all the attention to detail and like remixing of levels and stuff from the first several games and everything. It's just a really fun game, and I don't really have anything new to say about that other than the fact that I did look up a little bit more about the development. That continues to be fun, but I cannot play very much of it at a time, and so like after a little bit I'm like, okay, enough of this. My eyes cannot keep up with what's going on the screen right now, because you just move so fast that it's like, okay, no more of that for right now. My eyes are tired. And that could also be the COVID, but like, also that's me, personally just being like, okay, that's just, you're going so fast the camera can't keep up with you. So anyway, any questions about Sonic Mania before I proceed?
How delighted were you when you got to the Mean Bean Machine boss?
Dave hated it. I thought it was fine.
I mean, yeah, you don't have to speak for him. No. Did he have a particular reason why he hated it, or
no? He just aesthetically does not like. He's not pleased by the Mean Bean Machine.
Oh, okay.
He does not like it. That's all. Just like a.
So, are you guys going to counseling? Or,
No. I do not have that much of an emotional attachment to the Mean Bean Machine. So.
Oh, nice.
So there's that one. The next one that I've been co-oping with Dave, because Dave also got sick with COVID, by the way, but he wasn't nearly as sick as I was. I was like completely dead for like 2 weeks. Ugh. So anyway, the next thing we co-opt was Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Continued to co-op that with him, and we basically swap out every world or whatever, like through each main boss. We'll take turns as whoever's Kirby and whoever is Bandana Waddle Dee. So player 2 is Bandana Waddle Dee. Unlike in Kirby Star Allies, where you can switch up who the second or third or whoever player is, in this one you can't change what the second player is. And this is only 2-player, whereas Star Allies has 4 players.
Okay.
So It does have, neat mechanics and everything, but Bandana Waddle Dee is really very younger sibling mode. Like
No,
it's basically the camera's always focused on Kirby, so the second player always yo-yos back like Tails does in Sonic, and like the health is individual, but you can share health. Like if somebody picks up a health item and doesn't need it right away, they give each other a kiss, and then they share because they baby bird feed each other. It's weird.
That has always put me off.
I know, it's very weird.
That goes so far back in the series.
I know, it's very weird. Mouthful mode continues to be absolutely delightful. That is where Kirby puts his mouth on something bigger than anything, and so he just stretches over it and is still the same shape as the original item. So you obviously everybody knows about Kirby, but there's also a vending machine. You can also get like a stadium seating, like a big set of bleachers. You can suck those up. At one point, I sucked up an archway over just like a walkway, and then used that to fly for a while, and sucked up a big round trampoline looking thing, and then used that to like make big air pressure waves. I don't know. It's very fun. Mouthful mode is very fun. I wish that they had that in Star Allies, because I like that Star Allies you can switch out the second player, third player, and fourth player. You can have up to 4 players on that one. And they have some fun combo movements with all of the party together and stuff like that makes it just a lot of fun. If they had those kinds of elements, like if they have kept it where you can switch out the second player and you can do some of these other things in this one, in addition to this mouthful mode, then that would have made this one so much more fun, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what happens for the second player when the first player engages mouthful mode?
Nothing. Like basically
they just have to follow around.
That, or they're automatically put on top of the giant bleachers or whatever, and then the second player just like, because Bandana Waddle Dee has a spear, and so like when you're on the archway flying through the air, Bandana Waddle Dee can shoot spears at stuff that's oncoming, and that's all. Like they're just on it,
Gotcha.
They're kind of the DPS character. My kids was actually fight over who got to be Waddle Dee.
Well, again, this is like younger whatever person, gets to do that. Like, because like the second player, everything is trying to kill Kirby. Bandana Waddle Dee is just kind of there. So like, it's very much like a Sonic Tails kind of thing. Like the second player is just, it doesn't feel like a full share of the play,
right.
Yeah. So especially with the mouthful mode, since that's like a big driving force for a lot of the sections in this game. It's like the new star of this thing. So but anyway, so the reception of this game was really, really positive. Critics are calling this title one of the best Kirby games ever made, and several reviewers really love the fact that the level design is exploration based with optional challenges, and I like that too. I like the fact that it gives me a lot of different stuff to do, but it doesn't tell you what you're supposed to be doing in the level. You kind of have to figure that out as you go. So like, you just have to try stuff in order to figure it out. So that's part of the exploration. Right. And I like that because, of course, I like to try everything and go everywhere and do everything. So,
in co-op, I can see that being a source of friction.
Yeah. So, but there's that. There's also collectible crap, which I don't care about collectibles. Like, you have to get all the Waddle Dees in every level, or basically in order to proceed, you have to get a certain number of Waddle Dees and free them in the levels, and they're hidden everywhere. And then if you get a certain number of them, you can proceed to the boss and proceed. And it's not very hard to get that number. of course, like perfection, you have to get all of the Waddle Dees, and I just don't have enough care in my life to,
right.
Like I like exploration, but I don't like grinding. So like there's a fine line between, having to get every single thing in the level versus wandering around and seeing what happens. So one thing that was a minor critique of this game was directed toward the movement of Kirby feeling limited and sluggish, and the environments being too grounded, and the recurring mini bosses being tiresome. The recurring mini bosses being tiresome is like, that's all of Kirby. Like, there's always been, they've always had those same ones. The answer is just don't play so much at once, and it's fine.
That's
You'll
the thing,
get tired of it. Like I only play in small bites, like we do one world, kill one boss, and set it down.
Yeah.
Several days later, we might pick it back up and do the same thing and just do one world, So we are having fun with it, but there's not really a real sense of, oh, I need to see what the next area looks like, like we're just like, okay, cool. Like the next one that we're going to looks like a circus or a theme park or something. And I'm like, oh, that looks cool, but not like, oh, I got to go immediately start playing that level.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It just like because Kirby is Nintendo exclusive, there's probably some exception out there, please don't at me, but because it's exclusive, I think that there's a tendency for people to think that it stands alongside something like a Zelda or Metroid in rigor, like, oh yeah, there's that. It's a Nintendo game, right? The Kirby games have always been, later in the life cycle, and they've always been, simpler and meant for, not necessarily kids, but like, aimed at a different pace of play or style of play, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and like Star Allies had a whole separate mode that had a bunch of mini games and stuff, so it's meant to be like an easy, fun to play party type game, where you just have some folks over and people play the game together and then play the mini games mode together and stuff like that. And that one is a different feel completely from this one. And I actually like the Star Allies in a lot of ways more than I like this one, at least so far. Mouthful mode is fun, and yes, it is engaging. It's giving me new verbs and things, but you can also upgrade all of your special abilities as well. You can find blueprints and levels, and using different dongles that you collect, you can upgrade like your fireball to like a volcano fire, which is like a rapid fire thing and things like that. And you can, every time you get that power up from then on, it's the powered up version. So, like they do some things like that, but it's like, that's nice and all. And like, yes, it's giving me more verbs, but to be honest, Kirby at this point in time has so many verbs as it is, but they all end up still boiling down to like kind of the same thing. Like the thing I liked about Star Allies was the fact that with all four of those characters, like there was stuff like friend train, friend star, friend circle, or whatever, like friend souffle, and like you throw all of your friends in a pot and cook them, and then they go bouncing all over the place when they heat up enough. And it's like, what in the hell? Like that was fun because it was just, bonkers stuff with using all of the different characters together. And, let's do some kind of a traversal mechanic or, special attack that includes everybody. And it's a different kind of thing, and it's neat and fun. And it's not like this isn't innovative, but like I liked the way that it was innovative in Star Allies personally a little bit better than this one. That's why I'm playing it, but I'm not like, oh, I got to go through and beat this whole thing. Like I played half of Star Allies at one time, and then I slowly played the rest of it after I, got my first initial dose. But this one, I'm just like, no, I'm good after, like one area. I'm good. I'll come back to it later. So
nice. Yeah. I don't know that I have any questions about it. I just have to express my disappointment after opening an incognito mode and doing a search on some choice websites. Mouthful mode has not, let's say, is not a terminology that has spread across the internet to certain genres of let's say mature entertainment. Seems like a missed opportunity to me.
Rule 34 is failing us.
Right.
Look, some things are too wholesome for that. And Kirby is where that line is drawn.
I don't know.
Weirdly? Go ahead.
I don't know about that. I'm sure there's like so much Kirby-vor somewhere in the universe.
God.
We're not even going to talk about that. Okay, anyway.
No. It's basically an anthropomorphic clitoris, so,
yeah. But
can't be a title. Sorry.
No, it can't.
That's absolutely not going to be the title. Anyway, the last thing I've been playing is Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night.
I've seen you playing this
a lot. I finished it. So
nice.
It's a 2019 Metroidvania game headed by Koji Igarashi, who conceived of this title back in 2014 when he left Konami. He kickstarted it in 2015. It raised $5.5 million, making it one of the most successful video game campaigns on the platform. And it's in the style of Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, and cribs it real hard. So, plot-wise, it is in the 19th century England during the Industrial Revolution, and the Alchemy Guild fears loss of power and conducts experiments to bind humans to special crystals that attune them to demonic powers. And these human experiments are called shardbinders, and they were sacrificed by the guild in a ritual to summon demons as a scare tactic, except the demons went out of control and killed most of the guild and country before the church banished the alchemists and brought everything under control. So after that debacle, only one shardbinder named Gebel survived, and other than him, the main character Miriam had become a shardbinder, but then fell into an unnatural sleep right before the ritual and was spared on account of her being unconscious at the time. I'm like, well, I mean, like, you can still sacrifice somebody if they're unconscious. I don't know why that would make a difference to these people who are, just doing human experimentation, but I mean, whatever. So
common courtesy.
I guess. So at the start of the game, 10 years have passed, and Miriam, who was like, I guess 6 at the time, because now she's like 16, finally wakes up, fully developed, and a woman, and then finds out the Gebel is summoning demons in an attempt to kill off the remainder of the guild. So Miriam and her friend Johannes go to Arventville, which is a town outside of Gebel's castle, which is called Hellhold. That's not going to be a bad place to go. Anyway, and they meet up with Dominique, who is an emissary of the church there, ostensibly for the same reason, to banish all the demons. Dominique ends up being your merchant. Johannes is your craftsperson because he's an alchemist or a former guild member of whatever. And the remaining inhabitants of Arventville are your side quest givers. Other stuff that happens, Alfred, who is Johannes' former master, is in the castle. He's looking for a book that was used in the demon summoning. And then also Gebel's in there, and he's possessed by some kind of demon called Gremory. And then there's a dude named Zangetsu, who is a demon hunter from Japan that is initially like, you're tainted, blah. And then eventually he ends up thinking that she's hot, and then decides to take down the enemies with her.
Okay.
There's some twists as to why everyone is there and who the real enemy is and all that crap, but whatever. So I don't have much to say about that because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who is actually interested in the lore of that game. But why does this character have Gumby arms? I put a link in the Zencaster.
Because I think that Gumby is a touchstone for all of us, young and old. And as an aesthetic, I think that they're trying to, just with this visual nod, bring us all into, a shared world where Gumby exists.
I guess. So maybe he's one of the demons. Anyway, so this game is ugly. It's ugly. And it looks better in motion, but Symphony of the Night looks better, and it's a PS1 game.
I fired this up on the Switch, and I was really bummed out that
it's
I don't know.
blurry. It's blurry when you get the character portraits too.
Yeah,
it's like they just blew them up from the tiny size, but the resolution is still bad.
It is so weird because this is topsy turvy from what any of us would have said, like even 15 years ago. But like this would have been so much better if it was pixel art, but pixel art would be more expensive than what they've ended up doing because everything is 3D modeled at relatively low fi. To make things move, they don't have to draw things; they just have to keyframe everything, and it just kind of made it all feel a little bit insubstantial.
Well,
to me, yeah.
And apparently they used a mobile game developer as the graphics team, so. Okay. I don't know if that's like a good or a bad thing. It was insinuated to be a bad thing from the folks I was talking to about this.
Yeah.
But also the problem too, like you say, oh yeah, well they didn't have to do this and it doesn't slow stuff up. It on Switch, I don't know if it's the graphics or the programming or both. It's the frame rate slows down real bad. And so it's not completely broken because, like I've been playing since way back in the day. So I'm used to this slow down frame rate bullshit flickering nonsense from like old games back when that was like just the way everything was. But it has some definite frame rate slowdown that janks it up some. So it still plays pretty well, but it does have inaccurate hit boxes. Often weapons will go through lanterns that you're trying to smash, and enemies will hit you when you're close, but not actually touching them. So, like, the hit boxes are jank. And it does lack some of the depth, of course, of Symphony of the Night in terms of how extensive the castle is. But it does have a lot of secret areas and extra bits in the same spirit as Symphony. Extra little Easter eggs for you to find. You do have the ability to swap weapons and weapon types. It has fighting game style inputs to do special moves with different weapons, like forward fireball and X button or whatever, that kind of thing. There's magic, there's passive effects, there's familiars, all of those things via shards, which are like bits of demon stuff that Miriam can control. Mm-hmm. Special shards are unlocked by defeating bosses. There's crafting via alchemy. You can do armor, items, weapons, accessories, and food. You can sell shards to the dealer, but you can't buy them back. So, like, if you sell it, you better make sure you want to get rid of it. Unless you want to farm for another one.
No, I don't.
So, yeah. Side quests, making things an old lady wants to eat in order to give her a will to live. I'm not lying. That's one of your side quests, like an ongoing one.
Okay.
Avenging townspeople killed by demons by hunting down a certain number of the type of demon that killed them.
Okay.
Honoring the dead with a memento, aka you have to give them a random item from like your inventory or go hunt one up or go craft one or something. Raising crops, you can plant seeds or tell a farmer to plant seeds anyway and come back later and you can get potatoes and stuff.
It doesn't need all this.
No, I'm still going. You can also help a cursed killer barber demon named Todd learn new hairstyles. Allegedly, listen to me about Todd. Allegedly, when he learns 666 unique styles, the scissors will fall off his hands and he will be freed. This is also how you can get your character model swapped. So you can change your hair color and your hairstyle as you unlock hairstyles in the game that you find randomly in places.
Todd.
Okay. Also, there are special doors requiring keys located elsewhere in the castle that unlock repeatable optional bosses that drop special shards and items that are required to craft the best items in the game. And of course, the amount of times that they actually drop those things is very low. So you have to grind if you want to do that.
This just feels like feature creep to me.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
It feels like it was made on a manic binge.
They're trying to... It's like they took Symphony of the Night, made it uglier, but then they also were like, what's come out since Symphony of the Night? okay, I guess we need to put all of this in here.
I would want to go back to the original Kickstarter campaign and see exactly how much of this is stretch goals, how much of this is them taking input from particular backers, like this kind of mission, this kind of creep, this kind of feature creep really feels like a manic episode, like ends up happening with a lot of Kickstarter games.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who were not necessarily as let's say well managed. I don't know, that doesn't sound good to me.
Overall, I will say that the game is fun to play, and it still feels, it feels very familiar when you've played Symphony of the Night any number of times. But I will say at the end of this game, I didn't want to go back and go, oh man, now I've got to go through and replay it with another, because it has different character modes. You can play different characters. You recommends you play Miriam first, because that's like the, intended original play, but then you can also play Zangetsu and I don't know, somebody else, probably Dominique. But either way, I don't want to go back and go play as them. I want to go and boot up my PlayStation 1 and play Symphony of the Night is what I want to do. I'm like, this has got me in the mood to go back and play Symphony of the Night because that's a good game. So
you know what I've had fun with that I've not played enough to feel comfortable bringing to the show, but but were actually really neat little kind of throwbacks. The Bloodstained Ritual of the Moon, or I think is what it is.
Curse of the Moon, I think it is.
Yeah,
yeah. I bought that on sale because it was happened to be on sale right when I was playing Ritual of the Night. So. That one is the one that looks more like the older, like Castlevania 3 era.
Yeah. It's like Castlevania 3.5 if it's on its way to being, like a PlayStation Castlevania. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought those and I have them on my system, my Switch. I have not started playing them yet because I also started, I picked up Alwa's Awakening again. Remember I played that a year ago and I got stuck. And then I picked it up now and then I just immediately unstuck myself from where I was and I was playing that for a little bit and then I set that down because Catherine Full Body was on sale, so I picked that up and started playing that. Yeah. So I'm going to have a lot of different things to talk about on that whenever I'm back on the show again. So
yeah.
But I'm not going to talk about those this time. So you can look forward to Alwa's Awakening and Catherine Full Body / Catherine Classic if I get enough time to go back and play that. I never played Catherine Classic, but when I found out all the differences between it and Full Body, I was like, okay, well, it would bear me checking out the original as well. So yeah, but that'll be another time. That is all that I've got. Any questions about Bloodstained Ritual of the Night?
No? Do you think it could use more features?
Oh man, it's like I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I'm only missing one item to make one of these top tier things. And then I'm like, do I really want to boost my luck and then go grind for that? No.
Yeah.
No, I do not.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I mean, I might eventually, out of curiosity, try to boot it up and play one of the other characters and see how different it is or whatever. But, I mean, I'm not chomping at the bit to do that, obviously, because I immediately set it down after I finished and started playing other things.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't have any real questions about it.
Cool. Dennis?
No questions, or are you throwing to me?
I'm throwing to you.
All right, sweet. I want to talk about a board game first, if that's all right.
Okay.
Because I got to go to Gen Con, and that was really fun.
And it wasn't all work.
No, it wasn't all work. But there was a good amount of demoing Deck of Wonders involved. I was on the field of Lucas Oil Stadium for my demo table, where the Colts play. So that was kind of cool. And nice to be in a place that kind of felt like outdoors while still having air conditioning. If you got to be in a mask the whole time, at least At least being in a space that feels a little more open is nice. But no, while I was there, I was like, I should pick something up. And since I'm making a solo game, I was like, I should pick up a game that's good for soloing. And I found a game called Under Falling Skies. And cannot believe that I had never heard of it before, because it is hands down the best solo board game experience I've ever had. Like I'm really, really enamored with this game. It's a dice placement game. You're defending a city from alien invaders. And if you can imagine the city, above the city, there are 5 tracks that the alien invaders kind of come down towards you on. And then below the city is your base that has different rooms, coincidentally in 5 columns that all have different effects or abilities.
Okay.
So you roll your dice and you put the dice in the rooms to get their effect. But whatever number you roll on the die is both the strength or amount of resource that you get from the room and the number of spaces on the track, the ship above the room, that the ship moves towards you.
Oh.
So it's a real tension between wanting to generate a lot of resources and also not wanting to get invaded by the aliens faster.
Right.
Which is, it's just such a very simple, elegant, and fun way to have constant puzzles thrown your way. There's spaces on the alien track that you can use to shoot them down, or it might move them left or right. So you can have multiple, invaders on one track. And then the rooms all have different interesting effects. That, if basically when you roll, you can, it feels like you can always puzzle out an optimal solution.
Mm-hmm.
For how can I get all these aliens into position to shoot down, but still generate the right amount of resources and achieve my goals. You win by collecting enough research, and kind of getting enough research points essentially to understand the aliens and ward them off.
Okay.
So yeah, really, really fun game. Invokes Space Invaders for sure, down to the shape of the ships. And it is, this is the most XCOM game I've ever played, and I've played XCOM the board game.
Yeah. You played both of them.
Yes. And man, Under Falling Skies just does that tension of feeling like you are on the back foot and things are unfairly stacked against you. But there is a way to thread the needle to victory. I love that in any game I play. And Under Falling Skies captures that really well. Of note, it is a solo only game. There is no co-op mode. There is no multiplayer mode. The way you play this with more than one person is just you have more than one person making decisions.
Okay.
Which is a bold choice. And one that I really appreciate. And I can't think of a way that they could have made this game multiplayer without sacrificing something. So kudos to them.
Yeah.
For making it. It's oh man, I'm going to forget it off the top of my head. Thomas Ollier, I think is his name, the developer, through the Czech Games edition.
Okay.
The publisher. So really, really fun. On top of all that, there's a campaign. Because everything's got to have a campaign these days.
Okay.
And it actually serves as a really good ramp into all the mechanics of the game. Your base cities, and the type of city that you have determines the type of base that is under you. And so it starts off very simple, and then the campaign introduces progressively more and more mechanics. So at first, you can have airstrike rooms, energy generation rooms, and research rooms. And that's about all there is.
Yeah.
Then you get robot rooms where you don't get anything immediately, except you get a blue die that you can place. And then there's an automatic bonus to a room turn over turn.
Yeah.
So, give up some effect now to have a guaranteed effect later. Then there's command rooms where you place the die and then you can just allot the points from that die to other rooms as you see fit. So, it helps you really kind of polish up and make sure you get the right resources to the right place. They have rooms that take up multiple spaces, so you can only play those rooms if you fill up each space. It's just, there's a lot of ways that they take it. On top of that, every city has its own effect. On top of that, you have different scenarios that are like make things more difficult as you play. And there's just like so much to this game, but the way the campaign walks you through it ramps you into that complexity and difficulty very smoothly. So yeah, this has just been perpetually out on my kitchen table.
Yeah.
And I'm on the final mission now, and I fully expect to immediately start the campaign again once I finish.
Nice.
And that's another great thing is, you know, it's not a one time through kind of deal. It's all, you don't destroy anything, you don't rip anything up. You play through and you've still got all the pieces and all of the different variants to play with.
So you say that this has a campaign because everything has to have a campaign.
Sure.
Is that actually something that solo games do? Because that seems like a really good way to handle tutorialization, or at least learning in a situation where you can't do the usual board game thing of having somebody who's more experienced kind of bring everybody up to speed, or do the administrative stuff for you.
Yeah, I think it is like solo is a fairly popular way to play games. And I think the kind of mechanical way that people do, rather than just having an automaton or a set of rules that you're playing against that stays static, people like to play it once and I beat that, so make it harder on me, and then give me a challenge, give me this variant, that variant. And that's like solo players are looking for those different ways to play. And it's just such low-hanging fruit to turn those, multiple runs with slightly different rules into a campaign that it's hard to imagine not doing it, or it feels like a missed opportunity to not. Give someone a narrative hook for why they are playing through this time and time again on their own.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I see that a lot. And even in like multiplayer games that have a solo variant, usually have some kind of light story to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. Yeah, which is good to see. I'm glad I'm not the only one out there who had the idea, and it works very well, especially in Under Falling Skies. So,
nice.
Kudos to them. Yeah, been loving that, and I think it was like $30 too. So it's not. It is a fairly light game that you're not going to take up an entire table if you want to leave it set up.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah. So Under Falling Skies has been my board game. But I have been playing some video games as well. I broke down. I got on the train. I played Vampire Survivors.
Oh, okay.
This is I think I might be the last one on the show to come to it. So
no,
I have not played it.
There we go.
Yeah, I haven't played it either. It just it doesn't look like it's for me. But
yeah, it's we've talked before on the show about how I love engine builders, or I love builders, if that makes any sense.
No?
As just a mechanic where it's like, okay, I get to choose from a certain set of upgrades every once in a while and try to find the synergy within those. And Vampire Survivors is literally that distilled down as far as you can, and stripped of any other mechanics, because you're not controlling where you're firing. You're not controlling how often you fire, except through your upgrades. And literally your only interaction with the game beyond choosing the path of your upgrades is walking around. So, it really gets down to the essence of what makes those kind of engine builders, roguelike kind of games fun. And it does that very well. That said, I think I played it for a couple hours until I got all the way through and beat the first level of the game, which I think you have to survive for 30 minutes. And I feel like I saw what I needed to see. At the end of that run, my build was so overpowered that I could have done the last 3 or 4 minutes with my eyes closed. And that it was fun to get to that point, but being at that point isn't all that much fun, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, at that point you're just executing, like in a like puzzle game. You would probably like get to the equilibrium point and then fast forward to roll the entire solution. Yeah,
exactly. And yet another game, a tie-in to SnowRunners, that would benefit from a fast forward mode.
Yes.
Just for those points where it's like, all right, I know what I'm doing. I know I can get there. Now just help me get there faster.
Yeah.
But I had fun doing that, and I feel like I got what I wanted out of it, and it's a fun little game to check out.
Nice.
It's got big stamped all over it that it's an early access game and it's still in development. I'm curious how much more they will add, because there's already like a ton of characters and a ton of different weapons, etc. So and a ton of different levels. I only checked out the first level. So I'm curious, like what features are they polishing, or do they feel like they need to add? We don't want this to look like Jala's game at the end of it,
Right.
because so much of its beauty is in its simplicity.
Right. Yeah, it's pinned to that sprite, kind of like chunky pixel art style. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Vampire Survivors.
Okay.
And then one other quick one, I have gone back to Rainbow Six Extraction after an extended hiatus, because they finally put out new content.
Oh.
So this is the co-op PvE variant of Rainbow Six Siege. Really like the game style, and fully leveled up every character in the game, so I have a fair amount of time in it. But I just kind of done everything there was to do.
Okay.
And so it fell away. So they finally put out a new event. It's called Eclipse, and it adds a new operator, so a new character to level, called Echo. And I guess he's in the Siege games, and I can't speak to how much they change the characters between games, because I'm in that odd camp that plays Extraction but not Siege.
Right.
But he's his special ability is around scouting. He's got a hover drone that can scout, and whereas everything else, every other tool you use for scouting, kind of has a time limit on it. The battery runs out. His hover drone can just go indefinitely.
Oh, that seems really overpowered.
It's very, very nice.
Yeah.
Like it feels more just like hey, we know if you're playing this game, you're gonna want to level this guy fast, and you don't want to deal with this energy management stuff. So, let's give you a quality of life upgrade on your scouting.
Yeah.
And I'll take it, man. It's very nice to not feel like you're on the clock when you're scouting rooms, especially because with the battery powered scouting drones, you can recall them from anywhere, and no matter how much battery they have, they'll come back to you, and then you can immediately deploy them again. So running out of battery is less about how you use your resources, and more like, all right, I have to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
To continue scouting. So yeah, the hover drone is really nice. But the big thing that's added that has been fun is the new mode. It's called Eclipse. It adds an objective to the levels that you're going through, where there is kind of this central spore. I don't even know what to call it. Central kind of pod plant thing that grows up, that you have to play a game of red light, green light with.
Uh-huh.
So like a ring of light comes out from it, like a concentric circle, and expands, and then will disappear. And then, it starts again from directly around it and expands. And so if you're in the ring of light, you have to stand still, or the pod will sense you and kind of wither or run away.
Okay.
And alert everyone. And so you're trying to like creep up onto this pod, but you have to freeze while you're in the light. And of course, the closer you are to the pod, the longer you're going to be in that light. And so if you don't manage to completely clear the area, you're in the light, and one of the other aliens spots you, you're kind of in a tight situation. Like, do I hold still and just hope the light goes away before the aliens rush me? Or do I start moving and kind of forfeit this piece of the objective in order to save my skin and not get eaten alive by other aliens?
I'm not sure which of these meters to balance.
Yeah. Yes. So it's kind of a fun idea. It's also the other objective is you have to turn the power back on. So all the levels when you're playing Eclipse are in the dark, because whatever this pod is, it's taking out the power in the area.
Okay.
So the kind of secondary or core objective is you have to turn on a generator, and think of it Left 4 Dead style. When you start the generator, it's going to summon a bunch of aliens.
Attention. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that unlocks the door to the next area. What they don't explain, and what I screwed up on my first run, apologies to the people that I queued in with, is that if you do the generator objective first, it automatically scares away the pod. So womp womp. I did not realize that. And that was, it kind of sucked because we spawned right on top of the generator. It was just like, it's right here. Why wouldn't I push the button?
What's this button do? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I found out, we survived just fine, but I kind of forfeited that objective.
Oops.
Yeah, but it's great to see this game getting support. I hope they keep that up.
Mm-hmm.
And that it doesn't just get kind of left by the wayside.
I could go either way.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't say that to be non-additive. It's just Ubisoft seems really spotty about what they support and what they don't.
Yeah, see Roller Champions,
right,
as an example. So I'll enjoy the new stuff while I've got it.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Cool. Yeah, well, that sounds like a segment to me.
Mm-hmm.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
Yeah, I wanted to know about the unwritten rules of gaming that we observe. So things like, always check behind you first when you're in a new area, or if you can pet the dog, always pet the dog. Stuff like that. It feels like the right way to play, even if there's not a mechanical effect, but it's the right way to play.
Little rituals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get started here with Jeremy, who says, we had a cat recently that passed away, and me and my wife started playing Minecraft again. One of the first things that we did was to get a gray tabby cat in game. Every time we come back to our home, we feed him a couple of fish. Rest in peace, Gizmo.
And there's a picture. Adorable.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Very cute little tabby cat. Yeah, and that got at least one other cat picture. Eli shared a cat as well.
Also named Gizmo.
Also named popular name for cats. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Let's see.
Great.
But yes, taking care of the pet. Obviously, you want to do that in their game. Yeah. Jala, what does Greg say?
Greg says, I usually have 3. 1, make sure the game is stable if I alt-tab out for whatever reason if it's on the PC. Have lost a lot of progress in games due to that. Very good one. 2, on the heels of number 1, find out right away how and when the save system works. 3, do as many of the side quests or side activities ASAP before resuming the main quest.
All of those sound sensible. Yeah.
The alt-tab one in particular, like I hadn't thought of that as an unwritten rule, but I've gotten screwed with alt-tab way too many times as well. So,
I don't know if I can name like a recent game that has done that to me, but coming up in Windows gaming, like especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, where alt-tab was, just you expect us to what? You expect us to honor that, to background our game? How dare you? I just got burned so many times in the past that I do that basically out of paranoia. Yeah. Dennis, what does Ollie say?
Ollie says, first run through a new game, I play a game where min-max stands for minimal fun, maximum stats. Meaning I play it for fun and worry about optimizing everything later on.
That's wise, I think. Yeah. Callum writes, saying, always follow the primary path last. We talk about this on Watch Out for Fireballs all the time. We always talk about like, God dang it. We were at a fork in the road. There were 3 different ways I could go. And I went to the one that moves the story forward. So I have to backtrack and go to the others, which means that effectively they might as well have just put all those paths together in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also hate when the divide, it takes a long time after choosing a way for the game to reveal if it was the wrong way or not.
Yeah. Jala, what does Chris say?
Chris says, I have a thing where I always need to look into a mirror if available, especially if it's an actual selection little cutscene. I'm not vain, but my characters are.
I like to see if they're brave enough to put a mirror in their environment.
Yeah, that's what I like to see, if it actually does anything or not.
Mm-hmm.
Where that ray tracing at? Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least have like a little double, like a little double empty area in there where my character, has a duplicate. Man, so many fun ways to hide that or fix that. And also just kind of like see, like, okay, oh yeah, they made everything blurry, so my character is canonically a ghost.
Or every mirror is broken. Lots of bad luck in this game.
Every single mirror.
But also, hey, like a broken mirror doesn't mean it stops reflecting.
It just means it stops being a good mirror.
Yeah.
It can be one of those bad mirrors. Dennis, what does Tom say?
Tom says, go backwards on the first screen in a side scroller. If there's an Easter egg, that's the first place to hide it. Agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sensible. Lots of sensible folks in here. Let's see. Kyle writes, if there's an upgrade for movement, whether that means faster or further, it's probably the best survivability option. And also the most fun. If you're going around with just a single jump at a game where you could have a double jump, what even kind of life are you living? Yeah. Let's see. Jala, what does Eli say?
Eli says, it's so freaking fun to explore being a real bastard in a make-believe setting, but gosh darn it, I just can't do it, especially on the first playthrough of a game. Even if I'm not going out of the way to help everybody, I just can't help being nice to every NPC I come across. P.S. Exceptions do apply. Example, the Bloody Baron.
Oh yeah, from Witcher 3. Yeah. Divisive guy, that guy. For good reason, too. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a game where I've gone evil from the outset.
Yeah, I don't think I ever do evil on the outset. Like, I might do a mixture. Like, I get bored or I get too curious and I want to see what the chaos version is. But, like, I don't ever go 100% in that direction.
Right. I mean, oftentimes it's the least developed of the paths, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that shows through in the options they give for it just get more and more cartoonishly evil.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like I want to play evil, but it's got to be a motivated evil.
Yeah.
That's why a game like Tyranny is so interesting, because it's pretty much impossible not to play as a bastard. But it is kind of, you're balancing and choosing a path between like pragmatic villainy and delicious villainy, Yeah, which is an interesting distinction. Let's see.
That's the alignment chart I want. Pragmatic and delicious.
Yeah. Let's see. Dennis, what does David say?
David says, if there's a T intersection, always take the one that doesn't seem like the main path to look for treasure. If it suddenly seems like it actually is the main path, retreat.
Yeah.
Let's see. Gwen says, can I break those barrels?
Yep. Break everything.
Just roll straight through. My jars, my family jars. No.
Dude, just once they should it's bad, but they should be like, that's my grandma's ashes you just broke. Just once. Then to like scar somebody for life so they never ever break the barrel again.
Yeah, it's just it subtly puts you onto like the darkest path the story can take.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gwen asks, "Can I break those barrels?" She should ask, "Should I break those barrels?"
Indeed.
Let's see, Jala, what does Sam say?
Sam says, check everything in the options menu as soon as you are able. Absolutely.
Give those accessibility options a spin.
Specifically, switch from button mashing to hold.
Get those subtitles up. Yeah.
Subtitles always.
Always. Learn to mix your audio, please. Let's see. Dennis, what does Tyler say?
Tyler says, check behind the waterfall. That's the first one. Jumping objectively makes all movement faster. Second one. And third, younger siblings deserve no mercy.
In real life or...
Yes.
I do not understand. I know the first two just fine. Yeah. But the third one, that seems like very specific to particular games.
I think it's a couch co-op or couch, not co-op,
okay,
a multiplayer kind of deal.
You know
Gotcha.
what's interesting?
Well, like if you're not pulling your weight, I'm gonna let you know it. Darn it.
You know what? When I was younger, my sister and I very rarely actually played games together. Most of the time, it was like one of us had the game system and was playing what they wanted. And that's how that was. And that's because, like, by and large, a lot of the stuff we played was just single player. We just didn't do a lot of stuff that had like versus modes in it and everything. So we just never did versus mode. So we did a lot of co-op though, and we were okay with that. So
Nice. Yeah.
So no mercy issues at my house.
And I'll round us out here with Rookie, who says, 1, side quest before the main quest. Until you get sick of them, then ignore all side quests, mainline the main quest, and wonder why you ever did the side quest. Repeat the next game.
Yeah.
Number 2, stealth or dialogue is always better than a direct confrontation. Yes, the Duckfeed standard. And 3, if you're allowed multiple ways to enter a mansion, enter and exit via all of them to get all of the items /cash/story.
Yes. That also applied to me with Dishonored. Like, I would go one way to get to the objective, and then I would, before I went in, I would go back through the other ways, like look for the other ways to get through the town or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would just like crawl through everything and explore the entire rest of the level before proceeding to the next section.
There's resources. Yeah, finding those little rune parts. Yeah.
Mostly for me, it was just the fun of figuring out what the path was and then seeing where I could go. So.
Yeah, and that's everybody's answers there from the listeners. For mine, I don't know that I have anything huge. One that bites me in the butt sometimes if I'm playing a first person exploration game. I do like to close drawers, close doors behind me, turn off the lights. The problem is that hides where you have been already.
Oh
no.
So I've started being a little bit messier, so I don't go back and recover my old my old footprints. If I'm in a setting where there's like a town and a bunch of people to talk to, I don't talk to anybody until I've walked around and at least seen all of the different parts of the town, which often leads to me doing things out of order. And if it is a situation where you're walking around and you're in a structure that has walls, go around, hit all those walls, see if any of them come down. Yeah.
Or hit all those walls 50 times each.
No, I'm not doing the lava volcano manor thing. No. Yeah. So those are mine. Jala, how about you?
Okay, if it's a Castlevania game, you have to hit every single wall all the time, every floor, everything. That's obvious. If it's a JRPG and there's animals in the towns, you talk to every animal because sometimes they give you stuff. And then also steal everything, like especially if it's like Elden, or Elder Scrolls. Every Elder Scrolls, I don't care. I want every last blueberry on that plate and the plate. Also,
you'll get what's due to you.
I'm going to take everything in this town, every single item. I will steal it. So
everything not bolted down. Yeah. And Dennis, round us up.
Yeah, I think mine is that if you can name your character, I always put in my real name.
Okay.
And I just, I think I tried once doing the, like my dude as the name or variants thereof. And it just feels wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I need to put in my name, which means that I don't know the canonical name of most Final Fantasy main characters.
Oh, huh.
I was like, oh, Titus, I see. Huh.
Okay.
Weird. I didn't know they called you that.
Yeah. they made a big point of never saying that name out loud. Yep. So you could select your name.
Yeah, I guess that is, yeah.
Yeah.
They really lean into that. So yeah, I it just feels right to always use my actual name.
Nice. Yeah. Well, good question. Good answers all. Thank you so much for posting this, Dennis. If you would like to participate, you can go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
I will say about the naming thing. Most main characters in most of the games are dudes. And so when I put my name in, it's kind of weird because it's like
that is fair, yeah.
Yeah, and so like I still put my name in there, but it like then my name applies to literally anybody. So
oh man.
I have a neuroses born of privilege.
So have you ever had a female character that you've named Dennis?
That's a good question. No, I generally go something else for female characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't. If I'm naming the character and I'm naming it myself, which I usually do, unless I come up with a really, really good name, like that character looks like an Etienne or whatever, like
Yeah.
like otherwise it's always my name. So that means that consistently there will be like dude guy, and dude guy has Jala as a name. So
What's the matter? Yeah.
Yeah, I think female characters I usually go with a name that is on theme for whatever specific archetype I'm building for. So I guess the gender swap frees me from that constraint.
That's interesting. I was wondering if you were going to say Jen is what you call all the females. Anyway.
Oh man. Might have to be now. We'll see.
The end boss. Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us, oftentimes that are exciting to us. Jala, what's your story you brought us?
It's actually legitimately exciting to me, personally. So Rupert Booth has a new project. It's called Fogtown. It's an upcoming comedic FMV murder mystery finger puppet TV show and game featuring a variety of actors, one of whom happens to be Rupert Booth. You'll like it if you like Sherlock Holmes, Wallace and Gromit, The Muppets, Monty Python, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. It is currently up on seedandspark.com, and you can also find it via fogtownseries.com. And Rupert Booth had this really cute announcement video where he's like, I want to be a puppet. Don't you want to see me as a puppet? Also, I am here to beg you for money because we are trying to crowdfund this. So, but it was very cute and worth a look, I think. It looks really well produced, and I really want to see it made. So take a look at Fogtown series.
Man, I like that this crew is continuing to crank stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've got one that is related to horror in another way. Kind of surprising everybody. Just this past week, they announced, and by they I mean THQ Nordic, they had an event where they were showcasing stuff that they're doing a big remake or reimagining of the original Alone in the Dark. Foundational work in the survival horror canon. Really difficult to go back and play now, just because it is old and it feels every you feel every additional minute of its age as it goes. But there's definitely a huge charm to it. This is based on what I'm seeing. They're going to be, hitting some of the same locale. Like the entire first game takes place inside of a manor. You're in this big mansion called Derceto that is kind of implied to be in the South. This, I think, is going to expand not just the mansion itself, but also kind of have a little bit more of like a big New Orleans flavor to it. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they manage to handle it, because if you just take the original, there isn't that much there from a story perspective outside of maybe some like rats on the walls kind of stuff. It's real Lovecraftian. There's a gigantic complex beneath this mansion. A thing that gives me a little bit of hope is the fact that they have brought on a writer named Mikhail Hedberg, who wrote for Frictional. He wrote the games Soma and Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which those had good stories, and that makes me feel a little bit more hope for this. That said, the series has had a really spotty record with the way things go. So we will. I'm going to remain, let's say, cautiously optimistic until we get more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The cool thing about this is, after this was announced, like a ton of people just started sharing screenshots of just the hideous monster design in the original Alone in the Dark. So I would go and seek some of those out.
Wait, hideous is in supposed to be hideous, or hideous is in awkward and doesn't accomplish what they're trying to accomplish?
The second, incredibly goofy in retrospect. Like a mutant dog made out of Doritos with big bulgy, perfectly spherical eyes sticking out of it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm curious about it. We'll see. I don't know if there's a release window, and if they gave us one, I would not trust it this far out. But we will see what they can pull together.
Very cool.
Yeah. And Dennis.
Yeah, so Sony's been putting more and more of their first-party games out on PC. Yay! Mm-hmm. And it looks like they are going to continue that trend. Yay! And it looks like they might add their own launcher to the trend.
No.
Boo!
No.
This was data mined from the Spider-Man remake, or the Spider-Man remaster. And there's references to a PlayStation PC launcher in the game. And this seems to be authentic, seems to be real, but obviously no details as of yet as to what that means. I really hope that PlayStation has done any observation on other attempted launchers from the past and seen how much the community hates them, and realizes no, just let people launch it from freaking Steam.
Let them launch it from an icon on their desktop.
Yeah, just be cool, man.
That's absurd. Mm-hmm. They should talk to Bethesda.
Yeah.
Or any number of other developers. That is a bad move on their part.
Yeah, I don't know what. I guess it's the cash grab to be able to have your own tracking to sell advertising on, or Sony's probably closer to justifying it than others because they have so many true exclusives. But God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn have both come out on both Steam and PC and Epic already. Which again, I'd be perfectly fine pretending Epic doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But they seem to already be going this kind of get it where you want it approach. Yeah. And it would be very surprising to see them backtrack on that.
Yeah, and have them roll it back. No, we'll see how it pans out, but I hope that there's enough of an outcry that they realize, no, this'll suck.
Yeah,
if it's going to work, we think it's going to work.
Exactly. And they seem to have done a good job with their PC ports so far. Mm-hmm. So they seem to have the right head on their shoulders. But it's really interesting to think about this as a potential way for them to get PS5 software out when it's very hard to get PS5 hardware still. Yeah. So I guess it makes sense for them to lean into from that standpoint. Just let people lean into it the way they want to.
Right. Huh. Well, didn't want to end on that note, but I don't have anything more to say there. So seems like it's been a show. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
If you're listening at home, if you're listening at home, just look up a picture of a kitten right now.
Buttons.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of the level number 425. I think we held it together okay, given everything happening. I've got a muscle relaxer with my name on it.
For being ghosts, you guys did great.
Yeah.
I was more present this time than I was the last time I was on, because last time I was getting fever and sweats and chills during recording. That's why I got real quiet.
And I feel like I need to reiterate for everybody listening, I am not some taskmaster who has made you come on here with your stuff.
Oh, no. It is a relief from feeling like crap and being over there thinking about feeling like crap rather than being here where I can talk about something for a while.
Yeah.
And have fun.
Yeah. As far as things you can do for us, the usual kind of deal. You've listened to a podcast before, ratings, reviews, Patreon, etc. Jala, what do you have? What's going on over at Jala's place?
So at Jala-chan's place this week, the same day that this episode drops, so too shall drop on my episode on intersectionality with a couple of folks. And so you can listen to that. We kind of talk about growing up in different experiences and engaging with media and engaging with work and family and all different ways in which our interesting intersections of identity have influenced our lives. So
Cool.
that is coming out. Insofar as Monster Dear Monster, the boys have been alternating episodes about Elden Ring with talking about various things. Most recently, Pacific Rim, the Black. They just finished their chat about that. Spoiler, it was disappointing.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Yeah. So, but they will be, I believe, talking about Elden Ring this week as well. So that should be coming out probably Saturday or Sunday.
Cool. Nice. Dennis, how about you? Anything you want to promote?
No, we're through Gen Con, which was my big con. I might be at Sin City Con, which is the Cincinnati convention,
Okay.
in October.
Ooh.
But
It was right in your backyard. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, hard to pass on that. It feels like an easy easy yes.
Is that the one that's always in Covington across the river, or is that in Cincy proper?
No, it's up in the Sharonville Convention Center.
Okay.
So it is Cincinnati proper. And was a good time when I went to it in the before times. So hopefully the return is just as good.
Nice. Well, I see no reason to prolong this. I have been Kole Ross. You can find me on Twitter at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Twitch at Deck of Wonders.
I am Jala-chan. In places, you may locate me there.
And stick around for some titles. I only have one, but I like it very much.
I only have one, but I'm neutral on it.
Okay. Pragmatic and delicious.
There we go.
Yeah.
That'll probably be it. I have should I break those barrels?
Okay. And Dennis, what you got?
I have two, but they are just for A-Toadies. I fully support Pragmatic and Delicious.
Okay.
I have Bad Mirror.
Okay.
And Motivated Evil.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Pragmatic and Delicious it is.
I want to make this new alignment chart. It's Pragmatic and Delicious on one axis, and I think like Motivated and something else.
Motivated and aimless. Diffuse. Yeah. Motivated and diffuse. There we are. Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, all right.
The level RPG is coming together.
All right.
Go feel better.
I'm going to try to.
Feel better, guys.
I've got a chiropractor visit tomorrow morning, so fingers crossed that I'll be able to cross my fingers tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel better, Jala?
You too.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wait, 1 second. What?